Hey, Victor and Farmington, New York community members, all those that are interested in traffic and how to reduce congestion in and through the village of Victor, New York. That includes everybody because Farmington, Victor Central School, picks up a lot of people, the buses and drivers, and everybody goes back and forth through the village. And at certain times, yes, there is a 10-15 minute delay. And so a lot of people have complained that, we should do something, if we can, to improve the road system. So after a long process, we have the Victor Connectivity Project. This goes way back, though. When I started, my name is Randy Shea with Property Tax Watchdog Group. I'm at 50 West Main Street. I've put out lots of stuff, and no sense in trying to not disclose my identity. But beyond that, that's not the important thing. I have been involved for close to 20 years on doing, figuring this stuff out. If you talk to Meg Chettis of the village, and she tells you the truth of what she said to me recently, which I believe she would, but I had proposed close to 20 years ago when Jack Richter was still the town supervisor of an idea. So the idea was alongside the existing railroad, we could have a traffic relief route, that's what I called it, that would go from 251 over to Brace Road. That was something that I came up with. And there wasn't a need to take out the rails, okay? There's a possibility that some of the rails could come out, sure, but that wasn't part of what I proposed. So she gave me accolades because they're sort of moving in that direction. Route 96 corridor study was done. I was involved in that. I have done videos. I've been involved in this for a while, so I don't think anybody should complain that I'm still involved. But now I have turned against the town of Victor, and I believe it's really the steering committee that has really botched this up and not including things that should be included and including some things that shouldn't be included in what they're calling the final report and Victor Connectivity and Access Plan final report. I think Labella did a fabulous job of collecting information, and I believe that they did a great job of following whatever the steering committee told them they should and should not do. I don't know that for sure because there really aren't any minutes, at least not the type that you could actually find who's suggesting what and who's voting. I don't know if there was votes made. I don't know how this all got put together, and I believe that there's a lot of things that are wrong with it, but I'm glad it was done because there's also an awful lot that Labella did that brought forward, especially the statistics related to traffic and some of the ideas that I think we could possibly put into place. But that being said, yeah, I'd give Labella a great report on what they did, but I think that the steering committee, I don't know, they didn't live up to what I expected. So this is the project area that Labella was supposed to be working on. And the title of this video is Rawson Rd Extension. What probably might be the best idea that was not included in the plan. And in order to first validate that should have been included, I will show you right here that this was my idea that I proposed not only to Ty Lynn way back, but also to Labella. And if I remember right, I proposed it, I showed the thought, and I brought a hen scratch of it to one of the meetings early on when Labella was working on it, and I talked to Lorenzo, and if I'm remembering right, I told him that should be, a possibility. Now, they did integrate another one of my ideas that they thought was really great, so I'm glad they listened to that. But so why do I think Rawson Rd Extension might be the best idea? I'll start off with just something simple I did. I took a Google Earth view of the area, and I said, well, and this is what I suggested, because I went to these areas, and there's really nobody that would be impacted here or here in an adverse way as far as I could see or understand, that if they put traffic circles there, that would make it really easy to go in and around Now think of the cost of a road that goes from here to here versus a road that goes from here to here. So why wasn't this included? You saw that it was in the project area, but if you look further on in the presentation that they did, for some reason they changed it and sort of went around that area as if that wasn't included. There is somebody who owns, I think their family owns this property here, that was on the steering committee. I'm not positive they still own this. This is sort of a gravel company kind of, or a sand company. And it might come into their property. I would hate to think that was the reason why this wasn't included, but like I said, there's no record. There's no way of me finding that out, and I don't know if I could get a straight answer if I went to Labella themselves, and I don't know how to find that out. But it doesn't matter, right? Because if you're doing planning, you don't think about, in my opinion, for infrastructure. Your first thing is you come up with the best ideas. Then there's going to be some people that aren't going to like them, and some people that, you might take their properties or whatever for public interest. I hate eminent domain. I don't think fair market value is ever fair. I think it should be more than fair market value if a person really doesn't want to let it go. And if that might have been the case here, that might be why this wasn't included. I don't know. Maybe there's some other reason that I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the wetlands actually, I'm pretty positive the wetlands are over here. Let's see, I got another map of that someplace. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So here, I'll put this up here. So the wetlands, there's just this little tiny section here. I don't know if you can see it. This is like the hen scratch one I first drew. So there's this little tiny section here that would be wetlands. But I don't see how they couldn't do drainage or work that. You know, the Montezuma National Park and all that along the thruway. They figured that one out, right? So that's wetlands. So could they figure that out? Sure. I don't think that would stop the whole plan from happening of putting in Rawson Road Extension. So if this, for instance, is to help relieve traffic, and then, as you see, Rawson Road comes back, actually points towards the village, but you could take a left, you could go that way, you can go up to Dryer. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you could go if you wanted to, quote-unquote, bypass the village. I don't think that most people would. Some people might come this way just to get into the village, and that would be good. So the idea of this, sure, it should be on the table as far as whether or not they can, get that rail and be able to do that and make a road there. I don't see a problem with it being as a proposition. But if you listen to the presentation, which I did go to that, and I complimented Lorenzo from Labella, that he did a great presentation. And I would even think that they should get paid more to actually, I would say, finish this project off and put up a final plan of what we might actually really be able to do or use. But what they proposed left out stuff that shouldn't have been in, or should have been in. They left out stuff that should have been in, and they have stuff in like the road behind Main Street in the village. It makes no sense. On the side of a sand hill, and it services just a small little segment of people up on Dryer. If you look at it, that's all that it could do. The way they drew it and the way they plopped it down, I think it just had something to do with maybe getting more grant money. But that road just does not make sense. I don't know why they included it. Yes, I do have a personal bias because it's behind my house. I don't want a road behind my house. But seriously, folks, if this is what we get after years and years and years of work, that they can't eliminate the bad ideas and they leave them in what they call the final plan, or final report, plan, whatever they want to call it. I think something didn't go right there, and I'm going to put it on the steering committee. I'll go back to when I was involved with, I told you I was involved a while. So I went to the Route 96 corridor study stuff, and I was in favor of them taking out the rail or putting a road alongside the rail from 251 to School Street. I thought that was a great idea. I did a video on it actually way back then. So, but then I got involved and I learned that it would have an adverse impact on Victor Insulator, and there was no question about it. The CEO told me, and he told me the reasons too. The trucking wouldn't work. So I was involved, and I went to the meeting with Ty Lin, the presenter, and it was towards the end. It was actually close to when they were going to come up with their final proposal, and they had left out stakeholders. Now, it was a transportation. It was a study on the transportation of Victor, New York. The rail is part of the transportation of Victor, New York, an active rail still being used, but they did not include the stakeholders. They did not include Finger Lakes Rail. They did not include Victor Insulator. They did not include Friends of the Rail that runs excursions in Victor. So none of them were included, okay? And they weren't included in the DIS that followed either. I don't know if I'm doing it right, FDIS or something. I don't know. Environmental impact study, you're supposed to look for any businesses or industries that might be adversely impacted, stakeholders of yeah, Victor Insulator has already, sounded the alarm on that back in 2019. And so I was at a meeting, and this is what happened. Okay, I just basically, in front of the whole crowd, Finger Lakes Rail, a representative from them showed up, and we made the argument, I did actually make the argument that why aren't they included? They're a stakeholder. And so last minute they were added, okay? Well, I'll go in the following week to talk to Katie Evans, who was the person that was in charge of the project, and I couldn't get an answer as to why she was no longer there. She was just gone. There 1 week, gone the next week. Maybe there was some personal issue, something else going on. I have no idea. But all of a sudden there was no go-to person on that. And, as far as getting answers, yeah. Well, anyway, so it was good that the Finger Lakes Rail did get added. They have different interests. Remember, they're a business, and they're all over the place in Ontario County, etc. And so they're not necessarily, in fact, right now, they're definitely not in favor. They've got an incentive to take the rails out, because they could use all those rails and all the ties and anything that is good. They can use it in other parts to improve their line. I think they should go to a bidding process, though. I don't think they should automatically get that stuff, but somehow something was arranged at the county level, which, I don't know, maybe it's on the up and up, maybe it's not. But I don't have a problem with Finger Lakes Rail. They still run the excursions. They're a great company. They're in business to make money. I understand all that. So let's get back to this. So if you think this is a good idea, share it with your friends. Share it with the town council. Ask why. They'll probably come up with some reasons. And maybe they'll be valid or they won't be valid. But I'd love to hear them myself personally, because if it's not like something that makes sense to me, I'm going to speak up. It gets me in trouble, but you know what? I guess I'm appreciated by a lot of people around here, but then I got some people that wish I'd just disappear. So whatever the case is, I live in Victor. This impacts me. This impacts all of us. I hope you understand my intent. It's not to really cause a problem with anybody. It's to do what's best for Victor in terms of saving us money too. I mean, if we don't get grant money on some of this stuff, it's going to raise our taxes like crazy. So I'm going to put this on Property Tax Watchdog Group. And then, maybe get it out from there. So you guys have a great day. Happy New Year. I got to get on with some other things in my life. I can't spend as much time this year. Maybe some people will be happy about that. But last year was way too much time on volunteer and things that related to what I believe to be beneficial to the community. And you all have a great one. I hope you liked the video. I hope you share it. Sorry if it's too long, but Rawson Rd Extension should at least be considered.